They built a cage around you before you even took your first breath. A silent prison, invisible bars, crafted not from iron but from words, expectations, and the quiet weight of the way things are. You were born into a world that already had a script waiting for you, a path paved before you could even walk, and they told you, follow it, obey, and you will be safe. So you did, because what choice did you have? As a child, you learned fast. Speak only when spoken to, sit still, do not question, do not resist. Your first rebellion was met with a sharp glance, a raised voice, a punishment that taught you the cost of defiance. You swallowed your fire. You learned that silence is easier than battle, that obedience is rewarded, that rebellion is crushed. The world clipped your wings before you ever knew they were meant to fly. They told you that good things come to those who wait, that patience is a virtue, that if you work hard, follow the rules, and do as you're told, you'll be rewarded. But that was the first lie. The world does not reward obedience. It exploits it. The silent ones become shadows. The patient ones are trampled. The ones who bow are never lifted, yet they told you to kneel, and so you did. You knelt so long you forgot what it felt like to stand. But inside you, something was never fully tamed. A flicker, a whisper, a lion caged, but never broken. You felt it in moments, when someone spoke over you, and something inside you screamed to be heard. When you watched the powerful walk freely, taking what they wanted, while you were told to wait your turn. When you saw people no smarter than you, no better than you, rise, not because they were deserving, but because they dared. Yet still, you obeyed, because stepping out of line means war. It means confrontation, isolation, exile. You saw what happened to those who refused to comply. They were ridiculed, cast aside, torn down. The system does not forgive disobedience, and so fear sank its claws into your mind. Stay quiet, stay small, stay safe. But the truth is, you were never safe. You were never free. You were only comfortable in your chain. The world did not protect you. It controlled you. Every rule, every lesson, every warning, it was never about making you better. It was about keeping you tamed. Because a lion that remembers its strength is dangerous. A slave who sees the bars is already halfway free. And maybe you've started to see it now. Maybe that whisper inside you has grown louder. Maybe you are beginning to wonder, what if I was never meant to kneel? What if they were only afraid of what would happen if I stood? There comes a moment when the illusion shatters. A crack in the wall, a sliver of light slipping through the darkness. You wake up, and something feels wrong. Not in the way they warned you about. Not in the way that keeps you fearful and obedient. No, this is different. This is something new. A whisper in the back of your mind. Soft but relentless. What if everything they told you was a lie? For so long, you believed the cage was locked. You accepted the weight of the chains because they told you they were unbreakable. But then, something happens. A moment so small that most would overlook it. Maybe you see someone like you rise and you wonder, why not me? Maybe you challenge an order, just once, and feel a spark ignite in your chest. Maybe for the first time in your life you hesitate before bowing. And that hesitation is dangerous. Because once you hesitate, once you question, the spell weakens. The system only works if you never look too closely. If you never ask the one question that unravels everything. What if I wasn't meant to obey? That thought alone terrifies you. It excites you. You have spent years, maybe a lifetime, in submission to authority, to expectation, to fear. But now something inside you is stirring. Something hungry. It has been there all along, caged and waiting, and the moment you acknowledge it, it grows. The world, sensing your shift, fights back. It warns you. Stay in your place. It whispers reminders of consequences. It calls rebellion foolish, dangerous, but your soul is screaming. No bueno. You're not the first to feel this. History is written in the blood of those who refused to kneel. The warriors who defied empires, the outcasts who built legacies, the slaves who became kings. They were told the same lies, fed the same fear, but they dared, they refused, they stepped out of line, and the world tried to destroy them. Because the world fears those who wake up. Maybe you are not a warrior, not yet, but rebellion does not begin with swords and fire. It begins with a whisper, a refusal, a single act of defiance, so small it seems insignificant until it isn't. Maybe it's saying no when they expect you to say yes. Maybe it's standing tall when they tell you to kneel. Maybe it's simply looking them in the eye and letting them see what's inside you, a storm they cannot contain. And in that moment, you feel something you haven't felt before. Power. It is unfamiliar, electric. It is terrifying, because power means responsibility. It means choosing your own path, risking everything. But it is also intoxicating. For the first time, you taste what it means to be free. And once you taste it, there is no going back. There is a war inside you now, a battle between the old self, the one who obeyed, who stayed silent, who lived in the safety of submission, and the new self, the one who has tasted defiance and craves more, the one who knows there is something beyond these invisible chains. But war is never easy. The past does not let go without a fight. Fear does not surrender without blood. You feel it in every hesitation. In every moment you teeter between retreat and revolution. One voice whispers, "Stay where it's safe. You have lived this way for so long. Why change now?" But another voice, louder this time, growls, "Because you were never meant to live on your knees. You are the match in the darkness, small, flickering. But fire does not ask permission to burn, and fire, once lit, does not die easily. You see it now, the way the world fights to keep you in line, the way it recoils at your defiance. They say, know your place. They say, who do you think you are? They call you ungrateful, reckless, foolish. They tell you that hunger for more is wrong, and maybe you believe them for a moment. Because guilt is a powerful weapon, and they know how to wield it well. They twist your desire into something ugly, something shameful. They make you question yourself. Am I selfish? Am I wrong for wanting more? But then you realize the truth. The real selfishness is theirs. The people who want you to remain small, remain quiet, remain obedient. They are the ones who fear what happens when you rise. They do not want to lose their power over you. They do not want to watch you break free, because it will remind them that they never did. And so the hunger grows. It is no longer just a whisper. It is a roar, a fire in your veins that will not be extinguished. And you make a choice, not in a grand, cinematic moment, not in some dramatic declaration, but in a quiet, undeniable resolve deep within you. You will never bow again. The moment you decide to rise, the world senses it. Like a beast that smells rebellion on the wind, it turns on you with sharpened teeth. The very people who once smiled at you now sneer. The ones who patted you on the back now whisper behind it. The question drips from their tongues like poison. Who do you think you are? They laugh at you. They mock your ambition. They call you arrogant, delusional. They tell you to be realistic, to know your limits, to remember your place. And if words do not break you, they will try harder. They will isolate you. They will strip their approval from your skin like flesh torn from bone. The loneliness is sharp. The doubt creeps in, because when you stand against the tide, it is easy to feel like you are drowning. The world is a storm, and you are the sun trying to rise. Every force will push against you, trying to smother your light before it can set fire to the sky. This is the moment where most people fall back, where they retreat into the comfort of their chain, whispering that freedom was never meant for them. But you are not most people. You do not beg the storm for mercy. You do not wait for permission to shine. Because now you see what was always true. Power is never given. It is taken. If you wait for approval, for validation, for someone to hand you your crown, you will wait forever. The world does not reward quiet desperation. It bows only to those who demand their place at the table. So you stand. You let the storm rage. Let the voices howl. Let the world throw everything it has at you. Because you understand now. This is the price of power, and you are willing to pay it. They will come for you. The moment you step beyond the lines they drew for you, the world will bare its fangs. It will not be fair. It will not be kind. You will lose things, people, comfort, illusions you once clung to. You will taste betrayal from those you thought would stand by you. And the pain will be sharp, relentless, merciless. There will be nights when the weight feels unbearable, when your mind whispers that maybe they were right. Maybe you were never meant to rise. Maybe you should have stayed where it was safe, where it was quiet, where the world did not see you as a threat. Because now you are at war, and war does not grant peace to its soldiers. But pain is a teacher. It is the fire that forges steel, the crucible that burns away weakness. It does not come to break you. It comes to shape you. You are the blade caught in the forge, hammered again and again, beaten down only to be sharpened. Do you feel it? The shift? The transformation? You are no longer who you were. You are something else now, something stronger. And then, the turning point. The moment you stop fearing pain. The moment you stop running from it. You stare it in the face, and instead of recoiling, you use it. Every wound, every scar, every loss, they are not weights to drag you down. They are fuel. They are fire in your veins. They are the proof that you have walked through the storm and did not shatter. So let them come. Let the world throw its worst. Let the knives dig deep. You will bleed, but you will not break. Again and again, you whisper it to yourself, until it is no longer a phrase but a law. Bleed, but do not break. This is how warriors are made. This is how legends are born. There comes a day when the air shifts, when the people who once laughed at you fall silent in your presence, when the ones who tried to break you refuse to meet your eyes. They sense it before they understand it. Something about you is different now. They can no longer control you. No threats, no guilt, no whispered warnings of failure can bend you back into submission. You do not flinch. You do not seek approval, and that terrifies them, because for so long they fed on your obedience, thrived on your fear. But now they see what happens when a chained beast is unshackled. You are no longer the hunted. You are no longer the quiet one in the corner, the one waiting to be chosen, the one begging for a seat at their table. You are the storm they never saw coming. And when you walk into a room, the air shifts. The weight of your presence is undeniable. They feel it, even if they do not understand it. This is the moment they begin to fear you. Not because you seek revenge, not because you hold on to anger, but because you no longer belong to them. Because you have stepped beyond their reach, beyond their rules, beyond their power. Fear is no longer your burden. It is theirs. The time for hesitation is over. The time for doubt, for waiting, for looking over your shoulder, it is gone. The version of you that once begged for permission, that once tiptoed through life, afraid of making waves, dead. In its place stands something unstoppable, a force that no longer apologizes, no longer bows, no longer waits to be chosen. You do not ask anymore. You take. It begins like a crack in a dam, small at first, almost imperceptible, but then rupture. The force that was once contained surges forward, unstoppable, undeniable, drowning everything in its path. That is you now. No longer held back by the rules they forced upon you, no longer caged by expectations that never served you. The world scrambles to contain you, to force you back into the mold, but it is too late. They should have stopped you when they had the chance. And now, the battle, the one where the underdog, the one they underestimated, the one they mocked and ignored, becomes the conqueror. The fight is no longer about survival. That was the old you. the one who clung to scraps, who only wanted to get by. Now you fight to win, to dominate, to claim what is yours without hesitation, without guilt, without fear, because this is your rise, and nothing, no one, will stand in your way. They thought you would always obey. They thought you would always be the one following orders, waiting for approval, shrinking yourself to fit inside their world. They laughed at your defiance. They scoffed at your ambition. They swore you would never rise. But look at them now. The same voices that mocked you now whisper your name in hushed, uneasy tones. The same faces that once looked down on you now avert their gaze. The ones who stood above you, dictating your every move, now feel the weight of your presence pressing down on them. The shift is complete. They told you that throne was never meant for you, that power was reserved for those born into it, for those who followed the rules, for those who knew their place. But the world does not belong to those who wait. It belongs to those who take it. And now, here you stand. The throne they swore you would never reach. It is yours, not because they gave it to you, not because they finally acknowledged your worth, but because you refused to kneel. This is not about revenge. Revenge is for those still bound by the past. No, this is about something greater. This is about power. And power, true power, does not belong to those who demand submission. It belongs to those who rise despite it. Power was never the end. It was never about reaching the throne just to sit upon it. No, the moment you rise, the real battle begins. Because power is not just about winning. It is about what you do once you've won. Strength is not about crushing those beneath you. That is what the weak do. Those who fear losing control. Those who were never meant to rule in the first place. True strength is about something greater. Never being crushed again. Never allowing the chains to return. Never letting the world dictate who you can and cannot be. But there is a weight to leadership. A burden that only the strong can carry. When you stand at the top, you realize something. Power demands responsibility. Because there will always be those who look to you now, not with fear, but with hope. And what will you do with that? The storm does not seek permission to rage. It simply does. It destroys, but it also brings renewal. It is neither kind nor cruel, only necessary. You must decide what kind of force you will be. And here lies the final test. The temptation is there, whispering, luring, to become the very thing you once fought against, to rule with the same iron grip that once held you down, to demand obedience instead of inspiring strength. Because it is easy to be the oppressed. It is easy to be the rebel, but to stand in power and not become the monster. That is the true challenge. So now, the choice is yours. Will you be a ruler who hoards power out of fear? Or will you lead? Will you create? Will you become something greater than those before you? This is not the end of your journey. It is only the beginning. This was never just about you. Yes, it was your war, your suffering, your rise from the ashes, but now others are watching. Others who are still trapped, still afraid, still waiting for someone to show them the way. You are that spark, the proof that it is possible to break free. The world tried to silence you, to break you, to force you into obedience, and yet here you stand, unshaken, unyielding, unbreakable. And now your story is no longer just yours, it is theirs. The fire that once burned in you, that once fueled your rebellion, now spreads beyond you. You are no longer just a warrior, you are a beacon, a torch in the darkness, setting others ablaze. And with every soul that rises because of you, the chains of this world weaken, the cycle continues, new voices rise, new rebellions form. But this time, you are not the one in the shadows. You are the legend they look to, the whisper in their ear when they feel powerless, the force that reminds them that no one is born to kneel. And as the world shifts, as the fearful and the powerful alike recognize your legacy, one truth echoes louder than all the rest. They thought you'd always obey. Now they kneel before you,